So hello everyone, my name is Shirley Bellardo and I am the Director of Clinical Services at Jewish Family and Children's Service of Greater Mercer County. Thank you for joining us for our webinar entitled Practical Skills for Stress Management. Our agency continues to be here to serve the community during this challenging time by adapting our services to meet your needs. We are proud to be able to share the professional insight of our licensed counselors in order to provide much needed emotional and psychological support as we navigate this crisis together. The presentation today will be led by Arlene Munoz, licensed social worker. Arlene works with clients of all ages for a range of issues, including anxiety, stress, trauma, depression, and more. Throughout the presentation, please feel free to submit questions through the Q&A or chat at any time, and Arlene will be sure to answer them at the end of her presentation. Take it away, Arlene.
Thank you, Shirley, for such a kind introduction. Thank you all for joining us today. And again, we'll be covering, today's webinar will be covering practical skills for stress management. And we're going to be specifically talking about how to combat stress during a pandemic. And we'll be covering areas like what is stress, some signs of stress. And we're going to be specifically going over the use of 4 specific evidence-based skills that are found to be effective to reduce stress, but are also interchangeably used, can be used to reduce anxiety. So for many of us dealing with experiencing a pandemic, there's been lots of changes in terms of the new normal, if you will. Children are learning from home, remote learning. Many family members are working from home. There's been various changes in terms of level of practice of traditional learning, and also many families have lost their jobs. So there's been also like an impact of stressors related to economic stress, and also that of their health, their family members, with terms of people that have been struggling with fears with contracting COVID-19. So on one level, it's perfectly normal to experience some increased levels of stress. But when we really become worrisome about stress and their levels, is when stress does become chronic. So what is stress? So knowing what stress encompasses is actually the first step towards attempting to reduce it and being able to manage it. And stress is simply your body's response to mental and or emotional stimuli. On one hand, manageable stress levels can be beneficial. For example, stress can be beneficial if you need that extra gust of energy or motivation to run a marathon, to complete a marathon. If you need that increased level of motivation to get through a presentation, public speaking engagement, or project at work, and also just how to be able to multitask in this type of situation. However, when stress does become chronic, that's when it could cause some distress. So there's various changes that it can impact your stress levels with regards to, as you can see on our slide, there are 4 quadrants. So some signs of stress that can affect your body, your mind, your behavior, and emotions. For the body, many people can experience fatigue, headaches, and muscle tension, or increased muscle tension. And one of our coping skills is actually going to specifically tackle how to reduce that muscle tension. And with regards to our mind, many people can experience increased levels of worrying, a lot of automatic negative thoughts, trouble sleeping, foggy thinking, and just impaired judgment. And with relation to the effects of stress on one's emotions, people can experience a lack of confidence, some depression, some irritability, and again, insomnia. With regards to behavior, there may be a loss of appetite, again, insomnia, some feelings of loneliness. So it's important to understand how stress can affect various parts of a person's well-being. So today we're going to go over a little bit of how, in more of an in-depth explanation of what stress is, what areas of the body stress does affect in this TED Talk video. And we're going to watch about 47 seconds or so of the video just to have a better overall understanding of the different areas that stress can affect in terms of one's physiological effects, cognitive effects, and whatnot.
Are you sleeping restlessly, feeling irritable or moody, forgetting little things, and feeling overwhelmed and isolated? Don't worry, we've all been there. You're probably just stressed out. Stress isn't always a bad thing. It can be handy for a burst of extra energy and focus, like when you're playing a competitive sport or have to speak in public. But when it's continuous, the kind most of us face day in and day out, it actually begins to change your brain. Chronic stress, like being overworked or having arguments at home, can affect brain size, its structure, and how it functions, right down to the level of your genes.
But we're going to go ahead and move on to our first coping skill, which is known as square breathing, is also known as box breathing or 4x4 breathing. And square breathing is a type of breath work that can shift your energy, connect you more deeply with your body, calm your nervous system, and decrease stress in your body. So basically how this particular coping skill is conducted is, as you can see on the image for the webinar, we often encourage people to visualize a square in their mind. And this is paced breathing. So we would start off by visualizing a square. And as we're making the first horizontal upper first line, we're actually going to take a deep breath in through our nostrils, and we're going to be counting to 4. However, it's very important for us to be aware of the pace of our breathing. For example, if you're breathing much too quickly or you're taking too much of a deep breath, you're actually going to be out of breath before you are able to successfully complete the exercise. So if you find that that's the case, it's just important for you to pace it. For example, when we say 4 seconds in, breathing in through our nose, we're actually going to breathe in counting 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we'll go ahead and start. We're making that first horizontal line on the top upper quadrant, breathing in through our nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then as we start making our first vertical line going downward, we're actually going to hold our breath for a count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to exhale through our mouth, counting to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to close up that box by making the vertical line on the left-hand side and holding for 1, 2, 3, 4. So basically, again, what it looks like is we start off by taking our first deep breath in through our nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to hold 2, 3, 4, and we're going to exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to hold 2, 3, 4. So again, this is an evidence-based square breathing. It does take some practice to get used to. It is recommended that you practice this particular square breathing skill anywhere between 3 to 6 times, depending on your level of stress and or anxiety. And it is recommended that we practice it every day in order to get the best effects from it. Many people have noted and reported a significant reduction of stress and anxiety, because when we practice these specific type of breathing exercises, what happens is often when we're experiencing high levels of stress or anxiety, we have some of the physiological effects that we briefed on before. So for example, our heart may increase in palpitations, our body temperature may rise, and definitely for sure we're going to feel that muscle tension where our muscles bind tighter together, which can cause tension or even pain. So this type of deep breathing exercise actually helps to combat that. And we're actually now going to move on to our second coping skill, which is a type of grounding skill. It is a type of DBT or dialectical behavioral skill. And this is pretty self-explanatory. It's very simple. So what would you do? This is actually called the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding skill. And what you do is it's recommended that you do try to find a quiet space where you don't have lots of distractions. So you're not going to have the, for example, you're not going to have the television on, you're not going to have music on, and you're in a very quiet place. You can practice this one either sitting down, if you are practicing it sitting down, trying to find a very quiet space. And you could actually start off by 5 things that you see. And when we start off by noting these 5 things that you see, we're going to go and identify them and in quite a lot of detail. For example, if you're going to choose to pick an object and the object is a clock, we're going to know how big the clock is, what colors does the clock have, is it on the wall, is it standing up on a table, does it have numbers, is it moving, things of that nature. So you're really going to go into in-depth description of those 5 objects and 4 things that you can touch. So again, if you're choosing to practice this skill in a chair, you're going to note how the chair feels. So is the chair smooth? Is the chair comfortable? Is it soft? Is it hard? Does it have a texture? Is it supporting your back? So you're going to go and identify these 4 things that you can touch, but in great detail. And then you're going to move on to 3 things that you hear. It's often recommended that you really do at least pick 2 things that you can hear that are relatively easy to hear. But the third and the last object that you try to identify with your auditory sense is if you're inside, maybe you're going to try to hear a passing car, maybe a truck that's passing by, maybe birds that are outside, really just challenging your level of auditory hearing. And then you're going to identify 2 things that you can smell. So that could be, for example, if you can smell a candle that's burning, maybe the lotion that you have worn, your perfume, maybe some cooking that has gone on earlier in the day. And then 1 thing that you can taste, and that you can utilize gum, you can utilize a hard candy, and again, you're going to go into detail. If it's gum, is it soft? What flavors does it have? How does it feel, the texture in your mouth? And this particular grounding skill is a practice that helps you pull away from flashbacks, unwanted memories, and negative or challenging emotions. It kind of brings you back to the here and now and not on whatever cognitive stimulation you may be having. So this is why it's an effective coping skill to reduce stress and or anxiety. And next, we're going to go over the use of a body scan. So we're going to go over exactly what a body scan is. And it's not about simply trying to establish relaxation, but rather it's the aim to be aware of the different regions of your body and allowing yourself to experience how each part feels without necessarily trying to change anything. It's just kind of being there, present with what is there. So you're not necessarily trying to change anything. So some describe the body scan as a way to get in touch with your body, let go of feelings of needing to get stuff done, as we often feel like we have to be crossing things off of our list. And it releases pent up emotions. And just like any other form of meditation, the body scan also trains attention, because now you're training yourself to be aware of maybe where you're carrying tension, maybe any pain in your body, just being aware in tune with your own body and thoughts and whatnot. So the body scan does alternate between a wide and narrow focus of attention. And we do typically recommend that you start from the bottom up. So you're really going to start from the tip of your toes to the top of your head, if you have the time to do it. Some people just really focus on just certain regions of the body, but it is recommended, if you do have the time, to try to focus from the very bottom of your feet to the very top of your head, and moving in very detailed attention to what you're feeling, what's going on. And again, you're not necessarily trying to change anything, you're just being aware of it. It is something that you can practice sitting down, laying down on a yoga mat. We do same type of recommendation. We recommend that you try to do it in a very quiet location where there's not a lot of distractions, so you can really be in tune with your body and your needs. So we're going to go ahead and try if we can utilize this short video that I have here, and hopefully it'll play.
This exercise is the short version of the body scan mindfulness activity. It can help you become more aware of your present moment sensations and more accepting and in contact with what's going on in your body. This can help with reducing stress and triggering relaxation. So let's begin. Start by bringing attention into your body. You can close your eyes if that's comfortable for you, or just soften your gaze. Notice your body seated, wherever you're seated, and feel the weight of your body on the chair or on the floor. And notice the chair pressing into you. Take a few deep breaths. And as you take a deep breath, bring in more oxygen, enlivening the body. And as you exhale, have a sense of relaxing more deeply. Now, notice your feet on the floor. Notice the sensations of your feet touching the floor. Weight and the pressure, the vibration or the heat. Notice your legs against the chair or against the ground. What do they feel like? Do you notice pressure, pulsing, heaviness, lightness? Notice each sensation without judging it as good or bad, but simply as a sensation.
So I think we're gonna go ahead and just stop the video there just for the sake of time. But as you can hopefully got to or hear through the soundbite is that basically what a body scan does encompass is working with just noticing what muscle tension, if you have any, if you feel that a particular region of your body is feeling light, if it is feeling tense, just to allow various of your body parts, regions of your body to reduce the level of tension. And this is just more of a guideline as to know what your needs are, where you're carrying your attention. And then the next exercise that we're actually going to do, which is a progressive muscle relaxation exercise, kind of teaches you, once you already know where you're carrying your attention and what's going on, if you're feeling even a sense of pain in a particular region of your body. As you can note that this particular image does have about 14 regions where you can note, you can work on 14 different regions of your body. And it just allows yourself to notice, now that you've noticed where you're carrying your attention. Most people tend to carry their tension or weights from their stress on their shoulders or in their neck area. So for example, we're not going to necessarily go through every single region of that's noted in the image just for the sake of time. However, for example, let's say you realize that once you've been able to practice the body scan where you're carrying your tension and your weight, and let's say that particular region is your neck and your shoulders, what you're going to do, how progressive muscle relaxation exercises work, is that you're actually constricting the muscles that are tense, and you're actually going to hold those muscles. So for example, if I can identify that I'm having tension in my neck and shoulders, I'm actually going to constrict those muscles that are tense, and I'm going to hold for a slow count of 5. So for example, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'm going to relax those muscles for a count of 5. And then you're going to repeat working on each part of the region of your body for about 3 to 6 exercises doing that. So for example, if you carried it on your shoulders and your neck, you're going to practice that about 3 to 6 times, depending again on your stress levels and your anxiety levels that you may be having. Because again, anxiety is very similar to stress in terms of it producing a lot of muscle tension. Other people report having tension or tightness on their hands, so you would really just extend your arms and you would ball up your fists and you would tighten your hands for a count of 5. For example, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you will relax it. You don't need to necessarily relax at a very slow rate. As soon as you're done counting, you're going to relax that region of your brain, and you're going to practice it anywhere between 3 to 6 times. It's recommended that you do wait anywhere between 10 to 20 seconds when you are changing from a different region of the body to practice the progressive muscle relaxation. And lastly, a lot of people also report having tension in their back. So for that one, you can also do this one sitting down, feet flat on the floor, your hands resting on your lap. A lot of people do try to practice this one with their eyes closed, but it's totally optional. So if you feel comfortable with your eyes open, you can practice it. You're also going to tighten your shoulder blades backwards, and you're going to count to 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you would relax. So again, this is extremely beneficial to reduce people's stress levels and also reduce the level of tension in our bodies. It is, however, important if you have any physical injuries to get clearance from your doctor before you practice this particular exercise. That being said, again, kind of coping with the new normal. And here there's a quote that says, "Silence isn't empty, it's full of answers." And is again to kind of note the idea of getting more in tune with our body so that we can have and practicing these 4 coping exercises that can reduce our stress levels, anxiety levels during such an unprecedented time, and just adapting to the new normals when dealing with a pandemic. And if anyone has any questions, we're soon going to start opening up for any questions for the Q&A portion of the webinar. I have a question there.
Okay, Arlene, I see a question for you.
Okay.
One of our attendees would like to know, do you recommend using all of these techniques or finding just one that works best for you?
It's really up to the individual, and it really has to do with the level of stress a person may be experiencing. There are many people that actually practice all of these particular stress management skills, and it is something that they do try to incorporate in their daily, everyday lives to be able to manage their stress, but it's totally optional, with the exception of the progressive muscle relaxation. As long as you don't have any previous history of physical injuries, in that case, you should get the clearance from your doctor. But you can practice all of these or just pick the ones that you find to be that are best suitable for your needs.
Great. Another question coming in is, do you have any good relaxation tips for children?
Oh, okay. Very interestingly enough, with the square breathing, it can become adaptable for use of children. For example, there's a star breathing exercise. There's one that's a triangle. So basically what you would do is you're still counting, slowly inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your mouth on the count of 4, but you're giving them maybe different shapes that they can try to visualize in their mind. Sometimes what we do with children is that we actually give them a printout so that they have the visualization there in front of them, and they can just practice, and they just trace over their finger with the use of the breathing skills. Children also use progressive muscle relaxation. For example, we make it adaptable to children, and we may say you're going to squeeze lemons, right, really, really tight, and you're going to hold on for the 5 seconds and then release. When we talk about maybe the exercises for your jaw, or for your nose, kind of breathing in, inhaling your favorite scent of flower or your favorite foods, and then blowing out candles. So a lot of these particular exercises can become adaptable to children, even with the deep breathing. I personally use bubbles because it teaches really young children how to be able to focus on the count of getting used to inhaling through the nose and exhaling. So it's just about having the same skills, just adapting it to much younger population.
Mm-hmm. Great. Next question is, are these techniques designed to practice every day or just in the moments of higher stress?
Okay, all of these particular skills are made to be utilized daily. And the effectiveness of these skills become even more effective when you use them when you're not really stressed out. Maybe you're having just everyday normal levels of stress, so that you're actually training your body and your mind to recall what type of practices should I do when you actually are experiencing heightened levels of stress. But they are recommended to be practiced daily.
Mhm. Great. Are there any other questions? No? Okay. Well, we'll end here for now. Certainly if you have any additional questions, or if you're looking for more one-on-one support, please know that JFCS now has phone drop-in hours every weekday. You're welcome to call in during these hours to connect to a counselor for a 30-minute support session. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, a counselor is available from 10 a.m. until 12 p.m., and on Thursdays from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Call us at 609-987-8100 and dial 0 to be connected. We will continue to offer community webinars, with the next scheduled webinar on Tuesday, May the 5th at 1 p.m., entitled 7 Important Documents for Seniors. This webinar will be led by Andrea Gaynor, who is a licensed clinical social worker and geriatric care manager. Andrea will describe what documents are key to ensuring your intentions are communicated with caregivers. At JFCS, we are here for you during this new normal and throughout the healing and rebuilding process. In addition to our daily drop-in hours, we are accepting new clients and will be providing teletherapy via Zoom until our offices reopen. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank
Take
you.
good care and be safe.